Well, the last time I just recorded it, but I have a new YouTube channel starting now.
City Clerk, please do a roll call.
Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Pelletier.
Here.
Commissioner Ayers.
Here, ma'am.
Mayor Henderson.
Here. Okay, we have one presentation of the Bay County Sheriff's Office statistics.
I'm not going to present the statistics because I don't have accurate statistics to report. But that's because we're doing some swapping over at the sheriff's office of our dispatching system and the computers that operate those systems. And we were not able to retrieve the statistics. And it won't be for this month. They will not be accurate. They won't be accurate again next month. It actually turned out to be more of a job than they thought when everybody got into it. You know how
That's how that usually works.
However, I do want to point out that we are going to be doing our kite day in April on the 12th, and we're looking forward to doing that. And I also would like to thank the city manager and Bill Fry and code enforcement. They've helped me remove some homeless camps that had some criminals living in them, not just homeless people. And they've stepped up and helped me get that cleaned up and taken care of quickly so it didn't get out of hand. They've helped us over the last several months take care of some that had gotten out of hand that we didn't know about until after they had gotten quite a circus tent looking mess out there in the woods on these people's property. But we did have some that needed to be taken care of, and they quickly helped us with that. And we're just so nice about it. It's so good to have friends that come alongside you and help you get a job done and get it done quickly. And I just wanted to thank them for a job well done. And I wanted to tell Commissioner Pelletier I was glad to have him back this week.
Is this
Glad you're
behind
doing
Walmart?
better. Sir,
Is this behind Walmart? the one-
there was one behind Walmart, yes. That was one.
Kim, what time is the cake?
I think we usually do it from 10 to 2. I think that we're still doing it.
And we're doing it here.
Yes, here.
And we're gonna be helping on
I sure hope so.
that. Count us in.
Y'all usually volunteer to do the cooking.
We do it.
You and the commissioner, other commissioners usually take that right off my plate. Thank you so much. You're always very, very gracious to help with that.
Well, we certainly appreciate it.
I apologize for the statistics. It was out of our control.
I'm sure they will all do.
Everybody's still working, I promise you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to mayor's instructions. Do we have any additions or deletions? Okay. Then the public participation rules. On each agenda item, you're allowed to speak if you want to. Once you're, when I call for public participation, indicate that you would like to speak. Once you're called upon, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and then your 3 minutes will begin to speak on that item. You can speak on each item, but you do have to state your name and address each time for the record. Then at the end of the meeting, if there was something that was not on the agenda that you want to bring up, it's the same applies. You state your name and address, and then you have 3 minutes to bring up whatever item it is you wanted to talk about. Okay, so we'll go on to approval of minutes. We've got the minutes of the February 25th, 2025 regular meeting. Did anybody have any changes or comments on those minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve February 25th meeting.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and we will go on to our first 2 items. We will open the public hearing, and we will go on to agenda item number 1, ordinance number 1112, small scale comp plan amendment. City Attorney.
This is ordinance number 1112, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Callaway, acting upon the application of Brian Keith plat designated for medium density residential future land use. A certain parcel of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, consisting of approximately 4.3 more or less acres. Said parcel is located at 174 North Star Avenue, Callaway, Florida. Parcel ID 06513000000, as more particularly described in the body of the ordinance, amending the city's future land use map for medium density residential designation for the parcel, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance should take effect as provided by law.
Okay, City Manager, did you have anything to add? This is the second reading of this item.
Mr. Price says he has nothing to add.
Does anybody up here have any comment or question on this item? Did anybody in the audience want to comment on the small scale comp plan amendment? Yes, sir.
So what I want to talk about, comment on that is that I would like to have y'all, when y'all ask, Officer Mayor, when you ask people about the public comment, inform them about public comment, you can remain anonymous. It's the whole thing about the whole Constitution. So if somebody wants to come up here and speak to y'all, obviously they should know. So when you tell them, you should say, you can come up here and remain anonymous. You don't have to give your name and address. Don't shake your head. Don't roll your eyes. I mean, you have a lawyer. You can have.
Sir, you're not talking about the item that I asked
Oh,
for
I am.
participation on.
Yes,
You're
that's
not
what
talking about the small scale comp plan.
That's what I was talking about. You said that you had to state your name and everything. That's what I'm doing. I haven't got to my point because I'm up here clarifying that I don't need to speak.
Well, you're fine. You don't need to say that, so go ahead with your 3 minutes.
Sorry, I mean, I like sorry, thank you.
Did anybody else want to speak? I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance number 1112, small scale comp plan amendment, 174 North Star Avenue, parcel IDs 06513-000-000, second reading.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion in 2 seconds. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, this is a public, yes, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, we will go on to item number 2, which is ordinance number 1113, rezoning of the same property.
Okay, ordinance number 1113, an ordinance rezoning from residential R5 to residential multifamily medium density, that certain parcel of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, containing approximately 4.3 acres, located at 174 North Star Avenue, parcel ID 06513-000-000, all is more particularly described in the body of the ordinance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage.
City manager,
You have nothing to add.
okay. Does anybody up here have any comment on this item? No? Would anyone in the audience like to comment whether or not they want to state their name and address? No one? Okay, if somebody would like to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am. Motion to approve ordinance number 1113, rezoning of property located at 174 North Star Avenue, parcel ID 06513-000-000, second reading. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, city clerk.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, that closes the public hearing, and we will go on to agenda item 3, which I think is what most of you are here tonight about. So I'm the one to put this on the agenda, so I will go ahead, well, I'll let city manager, city attorney go ahead and read them.
Okay, this is ordinance number 1114, an ordinance of the city of Callaway, Florida, amending the city's land development regulations to modify the parking standards for major recreational equipment on residential property defining major recreational equipment, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for complications, and providing for an effective date.
And as I started to say, I put this on the agenda, so I'll go ahead and start the discussion. At our last meeting, I know we had several people speak that they would like this to be put on the agenda the next time. So I initially asked the city manager to put it on so we could discuss, but then I got the opportunity to review the ordinance from Panama City that they recently passed. I checked with all the cities, there were 2 cities I didn't get a response from, but the majority of the cities that I spoke to either have already got, they either have that ordinance, they have something very similar, or they're looking at putting an ordinance, they're just like this one into place. So after reading through the ordinance, I talked to the code enforcement officer and the city manager, and looking through everything and meeting with them, I really didn't see anything that bothered me. So my recommendation that I'm putting out there for discussion is that we go ahead and adopt an ordinance, that mirrors the language of the Panama City ordinance. But I need to, that's just me, I'm one vote, so I want to open it up for discussion among these gentlemen, so whoever would like to, I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail here, the ordinance is attached, I think most of you are probably familiar with the Panama City, so it's almost identical, there's a little variation, but it's almost identical. But I'll let
I'm in
whoever,
agreement with it.
you're in agreement?
Yep, and I have a triangular view, you're not parked on the street, it's in your personal driveway, and,
That's right,
you
yes.
know, we as a city are not a HOA.
No, but that's it, there are certain,
We shouldn't govern what people buy, if people wanna buy an RV, by all means, let them appreciate it.
yeah,
Keep their
but
eye on it.
and I know people are gonna be respectful of their neighbors, they're gonna want their property to look as good as it can, so they're gonna, and this will be, this, really, it takes care of a lot of the gray areas, it's pretty black and white, so my plan is we will enforce this, letter of the law, and hopefully everybody can be happy, so, but, Mr. Pelletier, go right ahead.
What I like about this ordinance, we're finally talking about boats.
Yes, that's
For
it.
years and years and years, we've ignored boats, and so I like the idea that, so this is gonna take care of the boat issue
Exactly.
and the RV issue at the same time. Of course, only on the beach. So, that's all I gotta say. I'm okay with that.
I think after reading over the thing and getting input from several citizens, Stephen Denton sent me a long email, I think it's in it to all of us. And he's against changing the ordinance, but to clarify the ordinance. And this definitely clarifies everything, and I think it meets everything he's looking for. And I think it's a little more restrictive than you may understand. So, I'm for it. I think that, it definitely clarifies a lot of things that are definitely not clear before. But it limits you to one RV, or one boat. Boat, not a bunch of boats, not a bunch of RVs, all over the place. Which is different than what we do now. So,
So that's it, you can have a boat and an RV, you just can't have a boat parked in the front, and one has to be in the back, so.
and it's gotta be, I would think, behind a fence in that case.
Well, yeah, if you have two, and it doesn't have to be a boat and an RV, it could be an RV and a utility trailer, if you have two things, they can't both be parked out in front, one would have to be, yes, behind a fence.
Do we need to hear from Bonnie to give us some clarification on everything?
I don't know if she wanted to clarify, I had met with her and she was happy with this, in fact, she liked this better than our current ordinance.
Yeah, I do too.
So she said this would make her job easier, and I do think it will make things better. Did you want to say anything, or you?
Staff is prepared to enforce the ordinance as written.
I had discussions with Bonnie also.
sure everybody was clear on what the rules are and what she's gonna be enforcing.
Well, and I think most of these people already knew the Panama City ordinance. And I mean, it's in here, so they've had a chance to look at it, I think it was on the website. So I think everybody's had a chance to look at this and they know
That was
what's in
another
there.
issue. I wanted to make sure everyone got a chance to read over this and understood what's going on with it. So,
And this is just the first reading, we'll have a second reading in 2 weeks. So that gives people more time to make comments if they choose to, so. Commissioner
That's good.
Briggs,
We
if you
don't
want to
want to
say
get with it.
anything, I think you're the
Yeah,
only
I'm-
one that hasn't.
Want to continue to speak like Commissioner Ayers is speaking. Everybody needs to understand this. This is utility trailers, this is boats, this is anything, trailer trailer, RV, whatever you want, whatever the object is, and it's parked on the driveway.
No, it could be in the yard.
Well, it says it both ways. It says on the driveway and it also, and I wanted that clarified. What is the yard?
Says
Side yard.
Well, and it says it may be parked on the driveway, it doesn't say it has to be parked on the driveway, it's just saying that's one of the allowable.
It's saying where it may be parked.
Driveway, or you can do front yard, but not vision obstructing triangle.
Right.
Yeah.
And does everybody understand what the triangle is? The vision triangle?
I don't know.
I don't. Yes, in your line of sight, whenever you're like pulling out of the driveway or you're pulling out of an intersection, the RV or the major recreational vehicle cannot block the view of traffic either direction. That's your line of vision. Also, you can have a boat RV where you can have a major recreational vehicle in the front yard, only one. You can't have one in the front yard and one on the side yard. It's either you have one in the front, anything else you got, it's gotta be in the back.
Where does it say that? Where does it say that? It just says,
It says right
I
here.
can't have people talking from the audience, please. I mean,
So, on
it
the-
does say, let me find the spot.
I need to get past that triangle that fast. The triangle also governs with it being just parked in the driveway.
Right.
Right.
And that's, a triangle is something that can block a side street coming on. Is that what we're talking about here? If there's no side street, does that triangle apply?
Yes, because you still have people backing out of driveways.
Yes, ma'am.
My suggestion to the citizens would be, go to the website, read the ordinance, get familiar with it, and it's in, like she said, it's in black and white, so.
And as far as the question about where does it say you can only have one, if you look on page 3 or 4, that's actually under section.
Item number 8.
Yeah, item number 8, if you look on page 3 or 4, it says, shall not have more than one major recreational equipment in front and or side yards. You can't have one in the front and one on the side. You can have one either on the front or the side, the other would have to be in the back, behind the fence.
And this triangle is a lot more restrictive than you understand, I think, because if you have a large RV, who's gonna block that triangle? He won't be able to be put on the driveway.
Just the inside the yard.
That's when you get into 40-foot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's just gonna depend on the size of your yard, and I promise if you're parked and somebody can't see, they're gonna call and complain. And say, pulling my driveway, I can't see back on my driveway, and, you know, and they.
Well, the ordinance as far as the triangle is 15 feet.
Yeah, it's better.
Not on those diagrams, those are just examples.
So 15 feet from the sidewalk, is that?
Yeah, I think it's it.
So if you have a long driveway, you're in good shape.
Mhm.
If you have a short driveway, you're not.
Well, it depends on what kind of recreational vehicle you have.
Right,
They're not all a mile long, there are
right.
shorter.
So is the driveway.
But I mean, that's gonna be, each individual's gonna have to figure out how they're gonna handle it.
And they need to clearly understand, because it's very clear when code enforcement drives down the road, is what it is. They know what the roads are. You got two out there, I mean, that's, maybe they'll give them a warning the first time, then
Of course.
Give them second amount of time to move.
Familiarize yourself, if you have specific questions, come back the next meeting and.
you know, we're prepared to answer the questions you may have. The key, though, is that you read it and understand it. If you don't understand it, we can answer those questions. And it may be something that we need to change. But, as it stands right now, this seems to be acceptable for everybody that emailed me.
Yep, I had the email from that one gentleman, but everybody else was just contacting saying, we need to pass this. And I agree.
Any more questions?
Anything else from up here before I let the citizens speak? Okay, who would like to speak from the audience? Mr. Carnahan?
Jeff Carnahan, 775 Shadow Drive. When you're talking about the triangle, and you guys were passing around the sheet, I saw Bonnie have a sheet. It's not in our packet. Can I get a copy of that for some reason?
You can have mine.
Yeah, also, you know, you guys were talking about it, it's not in the packet. Otherwise,
Someone brought it.
well, I'd like everybody to be informed out here, you know, you're telling us to be informed, and the packets are incomplete, or you guys have information that we don't have.
Well, it's the same thing, Mr. Carnahan, that, there was language in here that I didn't understand.
Yeah, well,
So I went online and also made some phone calls to find out. I made those copies
thank
on
you.
there, so that at least I knew and half the commissioners would.
We just got it.
But I'm sure other people have done research.
Ron Schumer, 5711 Kevin Circle. I'm not one to stand up here and not want to put my name on what a state. I'll always put my name on what a state or keep my mouth shut. Anyway, you got two now that disagree with this. I totally disagree with it. First of all, I don't put much, even less than zero, in what Panama City does. I pay this 1% tax every time I go over there on groceries or anything, and there's only two cities, Panama City and the beach. They got their good old boys together back when, and, you know, they were the golden children in Tallahassee and all that, so, you know, I don't have no respect for them at all. And about this ordinance thing, you know, I'm totally disagree with it. Most of your houses sit really close to the road. I like to sit out on my front porch, enjoy a bowl of popcorn and a soft drink, and maybe listen to music. I don't want to look at the side of some motor home here, you know, somebody's play toy. If they can buy one, then they can surely afford a lot someplace to park it or park it in their backyard. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at a travel trailer. They're less than desirable, and a short driveway. I like to look down the street. I don't want to look at the side of a motor home 24/7. I like to sit out there peacefully and, like I say, enjoy a bowl of popcorn and a drink. And most of the driveways, if you look here, I was looking on the way here, the very short driveways. And, you know, if you're sitting there on your porch, you're not going to be able to see nothing past that thing. And I'm totally against it. I mean, just because what these other cities do, I think you have got sense enough to make some decisions. I don't think you need to look back and see what Panama City's doing. Like, I don't have a lot to, you know, as I look around some of these cities, I mean, it's pretty pathetic what you see. And Panama City is one of them. It's really pathetic. Their ordinance, it was passed to please a handful of very special people. Now, that's what that amounts to, from what I've seen on TV. So, anyway, I'm 100% against it. It ain't like, you know, people here live back a long driveway and, you know, all that. Most of the people don't wanna see it, I don't. I thought I knew this group of commissioners better than that. It ain't like we live in a big luxury area. And like I say, if they can buy one, pay for a place to park their car until they get ready to use it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shannon. Yes, ma'am?
Good afternoon, Christine Smallwood, 703 Rogers Drive. I just want to commend the commission and you, in particular, Mayor. You have a turnaround time that is amazing, and although I admit that the last time we were speaking on this, the Lenten season had not commenced, since then it has, and you have taught me to have patience and grace. So I thank you very much for putting it on the agenda and for really clarifying the gaps and the gray areas and putting some even playing field to all recreational vehicles so that it doesn't seem like it's an equal treatment. So I appreciate you doing it, and I look forward to the next 2 readings. Hopefully the citizens will inform themselves and we'll have good debate and discussion, and you will take an informed vote. So just thank you. Thank you very much, all of you.
Anyone else? Ms. Clark?
Yes. Marla Clark, 511 Old Hickory Street in Callaway. First off, I want to thank you for bringing this quickly to a meeting here. Thank you so much. As you know, this is like my 3rd attempt at it. I just kind of want to put this out here for people that are so really against it. I just want to remind them that boats are also RVs. Boats also block views. Big trailers block views. 10 cars in a driveway block views and pull out into the right of way. There's a lot of things that block views. So, not to open a can of worms or make more work for anybody, but if the RV and motorhomes was not discussed in a decision made, then you must stand on it with the boats and with everything else that falls under these codes for discipline. I mean, I'm not, absolutely not saying anything bad about your code enforcement officers. Obviously, I understand their job tremendously, but there are a lot of violations. And you do have codes for junk ones, junk vehicles, junk boats, and there's so many violations out there, and I don't want to put more work on them. And I'm not trying to, but it is gonna open up a big discussion if the boats are allowed and have been allowed, and they're the same RV, they're under the same RV rule. So the only thing I want to tell people, we have the options to move to HOAs, but when you're in a basic city municipality, we're not. And we all know that you can't cite ugly. You might have a pink house, but I can't cite you for that.
Exactly.
That is why I do not live in an HOA. So, you know, Mr. Ayers, I know you were a very firm no. I'm glad that you have opened up your mind to that, because there's a lot of other reasons why this really does need to be approved. And yes, we as the citizens need to respect the rules, and I always have. I keep my house orderly, I make sure my neighbors don't have problems with me, and you very rarely hear a complaint from me, unless I see something really bad that code enforcement really needs to know. Because I do love where I live, and I want my neighborhood to be pretty. People pay a lot of money for motorhomes and campers, they're not cheap. And as long as we follow the rules, I'm glad that you have all opened your mind to accept it. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say.
Ms. Penny?
Don Hennings, 431 County Pass. I'm not for or against it, but about 2 years ago, y'all voted against RVs and dump yard. Some of them had to sell theirs, or put them in storage. They couldn't store it in storage. They'd sell it, so. You know, it's just hard to bring back 2 years and say it's okay now, but. It's better now. I mean, I think it's better if you had to prove it, you know, so. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Yes, sir?
I'll be nice. I'm not one to put my name on something just like Mark Twain, he used a fake name, so did the Federalist Papers, they were published under a fake name. So I reached out to my commissioner, Commissioner Ayers, and was told that he was firm no. I'm happy that you're coming around to what the people want. I want to commend our first responders, because one of the comments that I was aware of what they were saying is that first responders would have a hard time navigating. So far, they do a great job, so I don't see any need in the future that they're gonna have a problem going around the stationary thing, because they drive on the street when there's cars moving and everything. As far as the looks of everything, the optics on how it looks, I made, some comments before about, you know, dilapidated buildings that are waiting to get tore down, all kinds of things, all the stuff that's outside of the Public Works Division, all of that ginormous, horrible looking concrete and all those chemicals that are spilling into the ground over there, but that's all an eyesore. I have a 2018 RV, I don't think it's an eyesore. Obviously, in keeping with the tradition of what the code is gonna say, current tag and registration, hopefully we'll keep it where it doesn't look bad, you know. Like when I look out my window to my front yard right now, my neighbor still has a tarp on his roof from 2018, so you don't wanna have an eyesore, you know. Public Works or Beacon Beach Corner or any of those things, you know, it's important. So once again, I appreciate y'all taking time to listen to me up here under my anonymous Mark Twain name and under a whole bunch of people that wrote the Federalist Papers, you know, our founding fathers believed in anonymity. Also, 1995, Supreme Court held that it's the public's right to address their elected officials anonymously. So I guess I'm wrong. I'm the weak person for not coming up here and giving my name. I'm sorry for being weak. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? You don't want to miss anybody? Is there somebody? Okay, well, I was still checking the public. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Ray.
Well, I wanna make sure that people also understand, as Ms. Clark pointed out, what we do, whether we approve or don't approve, whether we say in the front yard or not in the front yard, your controlling factor may be in your covenants, in your deed restrictions. So just because we may or may not vote for or against being able to park in the front area, it doesn't necessarily mean that applies to everybody. And by the same token, we don't enforce deed restrictions or covenants. We don't do that. It has nothing to do with the city. So just be aware of that. And also, Ms. Clark, this covers boats, travel trailers, utility trailers, anything basically on wheels that's attached and not attached. So, it pretty well covers everything. And, I repeat, everybody that's involved potentially with the RVs or considering to buy an RV, understand these ordinances. Personally, and I know several of us up here have had multiple RVs and boats, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been able to follow all the rules, current rules. Just, excuse me, I've said enough apparently. Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, Mr. Shaner, I support you 100%, but I think these new rules are restrictive enough that you're not gonna have to worry about it when you do. But we are defining things that we didn't define before, and I truthfully think it's more restrictive in a way, because you're only allowed one vehicle now versus two.
take one to Sawyer View.
Yes, sir. But, hopefully, there you're in, this triangle visual rules will not even allow them over there, because you got short driveways from what I can see. So, and I think we need to adopt this in our ordinances, just to give an example, so they know what they're dealing with. And to make sure, right now I can't read the footage, but we need to make sure we understand what the footage is.
I mean, there are certainly, you can put illustrations in the LDRs, so, I mean, it would need to, I haven't really seen that. Well, that's what this, I mean, this is in the LDR, so.
It's in there in verbiage, but it's.
Right, and we can certainly.
Picture's worth 1,000 words.
We can add an illustration, I don't know if it's that exactly, I don't see.
We need to get clarification on that.
Yeah, I mean, in between first reading, second reading, it's like right here.
And like I said, this is our first reading. So, and at any time, we can table this if we need more time. So I think the first reading, we just go ahead and press through. But if we're not, have these things resolved by the second reading, we can table.
But yeah, you do first reading, if someone makes a motion to pass for reading and wants to add an illustration, that's not gonna materially change, it's not gonna change the title, it's not gonna materially change anything, so we're still good to move forward. If you want to add an illustration, we can do that prior to the next meeting. Because, you know, she'll advertise just the title, it's not gonna show. Yeah, so whenever y'all make a motion to, for that first reading, you just say with the.
Did everybody in the audience that
adding
wanted to
illustration,
speak have
that's
an
what you want.
opportunity? I didn't want to not give anybody an opportunity, so it looks like we're good, so.
There's one here.
Oh, I'm sorry, come on up.
My name is Richard Aiken. I live on 1327 South Kimball, and I've got boats and trailers, and you're saying that we can have one in the front and one in the back, is that right? The overlay district on 22, is that still the same as it was? My resolution is boat and trailer place, you know, a rental spot, boats and trailers, if it will, you know. I got that available, but the overlay district won't let me put that there.
Well, and that would still be the case. We've not changed anything in the overlay district on 22, so that would still be the case. I mean, that's a separate issue from there.
Right. I didn't know if that changed, or if that would help anything, or.
This deals with, basically residences, but also in this ordinance, it tells you, you know, for example, you can't put your RV up for sale there, or go park in a parking lot, put your RV up for sale in Callaway, that kind of thing.
Or put it on the street.
Right. You know, put it on the street.
Well, I mean, a fenced-in area there.
Fenced-in area behind.
Commercial.
We've approved an 8-foot fence, wherever you put behind that 8-foot fence.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about if he wants to open a business where people could pay to park their vehicles.
That's right.
Oh, no.
And that's,
No,
you'd have to come back to get a waiver that would be allowed on 22, and then it depends on where it is on 22, if it's in the county or if it's in the city. I mean, there's a lot of issues with that. But
This is
these,
residential.
actually, and these people are not wanting to pay somebody to park their vehicle. They want to be able to park it on their property. So that's a completely different issue. Okay, so that has nothing to do with this issue.
You know, some people have actually brought up in some of the emails we've got. See, we turned down an RV lot, because somebody wanted an RV lot, we turned that down on Cherry Street, because it's in the middle of residences. So somebody can, you know, actually say, if we approve this, where you can park your RV in front of the residences, you know, you didn't allow that on Cherry Street when they wanted to put an RV.
Want to live in those.
You know, well, there's gonna be a sale, and all that.
That's a big difference.
And that's a lot different than parking one at your personal property, parking a whole.
But we appreciate it. Offers, we need a place to park.
I think this is because you don't wanna do that.
Right.
This kind of
Okay.
clears up everything.
Yes.
Very honestly, it covers, I've never seen one that really covers all bases as well as this one does.
Yeah.
And really makes it almost very simple for code enforcement and for us.
Okay, so your time is up, thank you.
Thank you
Is
for
there
your input.
anybody else before we put this to a vote? I don't see anybody, so going once? Okay, so is there any more discussion up here? Would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve ordinance 1114, LDR amendment to the recreation.
For sure.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Do you want us to add the illustration? I mean, so.
Do you want the illustration added to the, do you want this illustration or some illustration added? Okay, so we'll make that part of the motion. Okay, so we do have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? If not, city clerk, please do a roll call.
Commissioner Pelletier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Graves,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes.
Thank you all.
So y'all come back in 2 weeks and hopefully we'll finalize this and then you can start parking your RVs and boats and whatever.
Oh, I can't be in 2 weeks, I'm going to a wedding.
Well, that's okay.
I'll stand, I'll be in Alabama.
That also means if you have something to add to it, please do. Please send us any corrections you may see or clarifications that we need to make.
I think
At least we can discuss
they're
it.
studying, and I think she gets it. They heard me 3 times, I'm pretty sure they know what I
Well,
want.
like I said, you can look at it and see, it's
Yeah, I have it.
basically Panama City,
I
but
have
I
it right
think
here.
y'all were happy with Panama City. So
Yeah, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on now to item number 4, budget amendment, comprehensive plan update. City manager.
This is basically just a budget amendment to cover the $87,500 cost that we're getting in reimbursement for the comp plan. We just said here in the budget. It'll be a pass-through, county's reimbursement.
What we talked about at the last meeting. isn't
Yes.
it? Anybody have questions?
Does Bay County have it in their budget?
Yes, we have an agreement with Bay County.
And they're going to reimburse us, so this isn't gonna be one $85,000 that we pull out of our budget, and then Bay County says, okay, we can afford it.
They got the grant.
They got the grant.
They basically were like a sub-recipient with all the
So they
city.
got the money already
Okay.
in the bank.
I'm cool with it, as long as we're gonna be reimbursed.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody in the audience want to talk about the budget amendment for the comprehensive plan update? Not seeing anybody? Would someone like to make a motion on the budget amendment?
Motion to approve budget amendment for a comprehensive plan update.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion in a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to item 5, mutual aid agreement for fire protection with Panama City. City manager,
As stated, this is the mutual aid agreement for fire protection within Panama City. We have a mutual aid agreement with all cities, and we update them frequently. This is just an update that needs to be made. Chief, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No. No heartburn with anything, chief?
No.
anybody have any questions or comments?
Just to make sure everybody understands, if they need us, we go. If we need them, they come. It's that simple. Mutual.
Everybody pays their own costs.
Yes,
We don't bill them, they don't bill us.
that's correct.
Does anybody in the audience want to speak on the mutual aid agreement with the Panama City Fire Department? Not seeing anybody. It's back to us, gentlemen.
Motion to approve mutual aid agreement for fire protection with Panama City.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and second? If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we are up to item number 6. Change order number 14, Tetra Tech Public Assistance Consulting Services.
Okay, as y'all know, we've been coming up, last many times, it's been a no-cost increase. We have run out of money in that fund, so they're requesting a cost increase of $32,560. We're hoping this will take us out to the end. They were very, very much underneath their allotted amount that is reimbursable by FEMA, and I have that number, but I don't have it right now.
120,000 is what we have left.
Yeah, we have 120,000 that we can still request for FEMA to reimburse, so this will be captured by that money.
Are we sure FEMA's gonna be able to reimburse us?
We're never sure about anything, but we sure gonna do it. We can't do that work in-house. So, but,
What I'm saying, if they can't reimburse us, would we approve this?
yes, you would. You want your millions of dollars from FEMA? We can't do it in-house. We gotta have.
They've got upper up there where they're cutting budget and everything else, and FEMA could very well get their budget cut, and they're going to.
This has already been appropriated and everything. I mean, this is money back from 2018. So, I mean, I'm sure we'd fall under their rules, but I haven't heard anything about anybody taking FEMA's money. But even if they do, we're not capable of managing the FEMA reimbursement process.
If we don't approve this,
Then
we
don't
know
get-
we're not gonna get the money.
We won't get the big money.
Yes, because they do the paperwork so that we get the big money.
Pay 32 to get the big.
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
couple questions. Where are we at and how much more money are we due from FEMA? What is the total?
I don't know that right offhand. Mr. Schultz, do you have any idea, or do you wanna just get that tomorrow and send it out?
There's multiple funds out there. There's a $2 million that was showing up as available and it was pulled back by the feds. I've got $750,000 from debris. The $2 million is Gore Park,
Right,
and there's $750
that has not been paid, right?
that's not been paid.
Right. So
It's all different buckets. Most of the small stuff is done and closed out.
Right. Can you send us city manager, send us a breakdown, please? I'd like to have a breakdown as to
Yeah, we can get you.
where we're at, and obviously we don't know how much longer, right?
No, sir. We work at the speed of,
I don't have any problems with this, I'd just like to know where we're at.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how much longer does FEMA owe us?
I'd also like to know if Tetra Tech needs this much more, or is this something they're just trying to, can they go ahead and continue and do the same job they're doing with what's already been allotted?
no, they're out of,
We have-
that's why they're asking for more.
Let's say right
We're
now,
on
like-
time and materials with it, right? It's a time and materials contract, so we're only billed whatever they, I mean, if that was the case, they would have said, we need 120,000. Cause that's still what's left in the pot that they can draw out of, but we've been well under that amount for a long time, and we're just trying to get through to the end without having, you know. And like I said, we're still 120 under, so.
Just
And
wanna
we
make
do
sure-
not expect them to come after the 120.
Again, I wanna make sure you get that information out to me, please.
When you say 120, is that 1.2 million?
No, 120,000.
120,000.
And this is taking us all the way up through December,
Well, this
to
is
the end of
almost,
the year.
okay, this looks like to me it's up to 120,000. You have 1.12, is that the full amount, are we done?
The full amount is 1.34, I believe is what my.
Okay, that's what my first question was,
Yeah.
so, okay. That makes sense now. Thank you.
Anybody else out there have anything? Anybody in the audience want to comment on the Tetra Tech change order
Make a motion, change order number 14, Tetra Tech Public Assistance Consulting Services.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion in a second.
Oops.
No.
I would change the slide.
Oh,
I was alerted, I forgot.
I thought somebody wanted to speak or something.
No.
I missed. Okay, we do have a motion in a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And that brings us to the end of the agenda. And up to commission and staff comments. So I have quite a few things to go through, so if y'all will bear with me, because some of this is kind of interesting, so I want to share it. On March 4th, Commander Mosey from the Navy base invited me to attend the Naval Action Plan meeting that was held out at Florida State University. And it was really interesting. They were discussing all the STEM initiatives that are, in our local high schools and even some of our lower, our elementary and junior high, middle schools, which is STEM is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But it's really interesting. Some of the programs they have, obviously the advanced placement, but, a lot of these schools are working in conjunction with the dive school out at the Navy base, that these kids are actually as part of their high school education, they're actually able to get certified as divers. It's just neat, the things. It makes me wish I was a kid again so I could go back and have all these opportunities that kids have nowadays that we didn't have 100 years ago when I was in school. So, and then on March 5th, the city manager and I attended the Florida Insurance Assistant Interlocal Agency meeting, which is, that's the organization that should insurance companies in the state go bankrupt because of large claims. This gives them a conduit to get funding so that those claims can be paid so that Florida claimants don't suffer because of the insurance companies going under. But the good news was, even though we had several hurricanes in 2024, there were no insurance insolvencies. I guess because of the type of damage they said, that made the cost less than like a Hurricane Michael. So that was good news. Now, the legislature was in session, so there are a lot of things going on at the legislature. A couple of the bills, I'm trying to keep up with this. One thing, this is something we have discussed recently, the fluoride in the water system. Right now, there's House Bill 651 and Senate Bill 700, which is called the Florida Farm Bill. That includes language that would prohibit adding fluoride to public water systems. So that is something that hopefully is going to be taken care of at a state level, and the municipalities and county, will be instructed by the state what needs to be done, which I think is appropriate since it's our Attorney General, the state Attorney General that brought this issue up. I think it's something that should be handled at a state level. And another one, this came up just today, the House Bill 1523, which is the one that talks about limiting the 25% upcharge on customers outside, that are in our service area, but outside of the city limits. So it's going to go in front of the Economic Infrastructure Committee tomorrow. They're going to vote on it. It so happens that Commissioner Griffiths is on that committee, so I have already sent him an email explaining how this would impact Callaway because of Sandy Creek being, part of our water and sewer system, and that would have a detrimental impact on Callaway, so would he please vote against it? So hopefully that'll get some traction and take care of that. And another one that's something that we have talked about here recently is Senate Bill 1416, includes language that would require all municipalities to adopt the state election schedule, which is what we've been talking about, moving our city elections to November. If this were to pass, this would require it. So there again, it would not be a decision that the city would be making. It would be something that the state would mandate. And I know there has been a lot of talk about property taxes and, doing away with property taxes and what would the cities do? One of the things that the League of Cities has asked the cities to do, and I've sent this information to them on Monday, they ask for cities to let them know how much do you collect in property tax, and what are your costs for your public safety, your police and fire departments. So I let them know, based on our budget, what we anticipate collecting next year, and what we're, this current year actually, and what our public safety expenditures are. We have a shortfall of about $1.5 million that our property taxes do not even cover our public safety costs. So the state is trying to let the legislators know, you know, just how this would impact the cities so that they can determine what should be done with property taxes. I think that pretty much, oh, last night several of us did attend the Bay County League of Cities quarterly meeting. Michael from the county was our guest speaker, so he talked about a lot of the projects that the county is partnering with the cities on, and we just talked about some of these different House bills and tax issues, so, and he was available to answer questions for us, so it was a very worthwhile meeting. And then the last thing I want to share with y'all, last week was Women in Construction Week. So they had Women's Build Days over at the Habitat for Humanity Village that's being constructed over on South Comet. And as part of their, you know, my sister and I went to work. They had Women Build, which means you sign up and you actually work on one of the houses. So my sister and I worked on building a shed for half of the day. But one of the things they did, they presented an award to, because it was Women in Build Week, and they were also talking about women that are in, you know, jobs that were predominantly held by men in the past. So there was a lady that's like the head of she's the head of some building agency here in the county. And because I'm the only current female mayor in the county, they presented us each with our own bedazzled heart attack. So I'm ready to break ground on Cherry Street soon.
At least it didn't make a mess of your hair.
Yes. But it was a lot of fun. They do that every year, and it was a lot of fun to build, and the village is really coming along nicely. They have 2 of the homes are under construction, and the ladies that will be living in those homes were both there because they each have to put in 500 sweat equity hours where they're actually building on their house or, you know, neighboring homes, but they have sweat equity that they have to put in on those properties. So since we were able to donate our hours to one of the property owners, you know, to help them go toward their 500. But it was a lot of fun, so they'll do it again next year. So if anybody's interested, I'll get you in touch with Habitat if you want to help build a house. Take it down now. And we'll go ahead, Commissioner Davis, we'll pass it off to you.
Turn up your ear.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, cut off my hair.
What's your comment?
The one, Brittany Woods, I know at one time count, this, where we have a flagpole and like a solar light.
10, were we gonna do a flagpole at Brittany Woods?
We hadn't planned one yet.
Yeah, we didn't have it in our plans to put one over there.
We talked about it before. I did anyways.
What's up?
I've talked about it before a commission meeting, that we were gonna put a flag out there. So this is nothing new to me.
Okay.
Maybe y'all weren't listening, but.
Yeah, I don't remember it coming up, I didn't know we decided.
I didn't know if we decided to put one on there. We can put one out there.
Why Brittany Woods?
Pardon?
Why Brittany Woods? We don't have one at Gore Park.
And it's just more work for him, you know, raising and lowering the flags.
I mean, is there something you want to put in every park or what?
Well, I don't see why we can't have a flag at every park. I mean, we're so close to Tyndall. I mean, I I would be proud to have a flag at every park. I understand it's more work, but,
More work and more expense,
Yeah. And then if the solar lights don't work,
you gotta fix that.
solar light on Tender Parkway's been an issue for years and years.
well, but that's not on the flag. I mean, on the flag, you're supposed to have a light at night, so if the solar light doesn't work, that's a different issue.
Really, the flag's not supposed to remain up all but 24/7, it's supposed to come down in the evening and up in the morning.
Exactly.
If we got 5 parks with that, are we gonna designate 2 guys for each park?
Yeah, that's a lot up and down the flags.
Yeah. I don't think that's reasonable.
Next thing after we got that is, we could probably cover a update about the, utilities person for Cherry Street, and then every anywhere with FPL and that roundabout.
Someone's stuck in the roundabout.
That ain't me.
I'll give you that.
Oh, wait, might be this new fancy watch I got. It is. They didn't know what roundabout I was talking about.
He said he'll update on the project, so. And we get the city manager to do that, Commissioner Briggs.
You brought up something, I'm gonna add a little bit to it, and that's that 25%. Because, let's go back in time, when we put the water and sewer extension in, and put the $20 million bond, involved in that water and sewer extension, and, for our services east, we were actually at that point depending upon that money, that 25% being out of the city, and that made sure that those areas were being paid for, and that service was being paid for not by the city citizens. Now, since that time, a lot of those areas have come into the city, but still, we were depending upon that 25% at that time because we can't use ad valorem. We had to be able to use the funds collected on enterprise funds, so that 25% went to that bond, which is still out there. So it's very important that they don't do something in the legislature that really impacts us, because that will impact us to the point that we would probably have to do more increases. When we're trying to look at decreases, be looking at increases in order to take care of that particular bond. So, and as far as everything else outside of painting intersections, I'll wait for the update from the city manager.
Mr. Pelletier,
I have some questions, but I'll wait for the update.
okay, Commissioner Ayers.
Listen, just some quick Florida history. March 4th, 1824, Tallahassee became the capital of Florida, so it's been quite a while now. March 3rd, 1845, Florida became the 27th state. It's 180 years old now. Lakeland passed unanimously to remove fluoride from city drinking water. Winter Haven also did. And I think on the 25th, Nancy Viejo is going to come and talk to us about fluoride in the water. Utah recently voted to remove fluoride from the water starting the 1st of May. I wanted to bring up the addresses, 1038 Bertha Avenue. We talked about the broken guide wire, and that's definitely a safety hazard. We need to remove the guide wire and the anchor that it's attached to. And then 1204 Bertha Avenue was the water cut-in that's laying in the ditch. We need to look at that. Events attended, of course, First Friday, with everything else. visited with city manager twice, drove the city and looked at the different areas that are under construction and our projects. Attended the VFW dinner, Florida League of Cities, and, County Manager Micah spoke to us, and we actually talked about, taxes and so forth. It was pretty interesting. The next meeting, I know the mayor thinks the state's gonna take care of these things, but, I don't think we should be waiting for the state. So just to let you know, I'm gonna bring on the voting deal, so we can go ahead and at least get everybody, in line, understanding what we're gonna do. And, so I'll bring that up next meeting. and put it
I
on
was
the
gonna have it
agenda.
on the agenda because I'm starting to get, have y'all heard from anybody?
Yes.
In response to the newsletter, because
Yes.
I've heard from some,
Yeah, all positive.
so, yep, so that's what I thought, we need to put it on the next agenda and make a decision.
Great.
Not just discuss it and kick it down the road,
No,
and
ma'am.
make a decision.
Yes, ma'am. I think we've had enough discussion.
Yep.
The gentleman talked to me about RVs last week. His name's Randall. I drove past his house and looked at everything, so just to let him know if he's listening tonight, I did go by. Talked with Ann Kirkpatrick. She talked about the Callaway Cemetery, and she had a lot of good suggestions. But the things that she was mainly concerned about, we're almost done with. The drainage, the fence, things like that, get the property lines marked so we can get the fence up properly. So all that's looking real good. Thanks, Eddie. Good job on that. Boucher gave me a call. I wanted to talk about the RV thing. I think we're satisfied him too with the new rules, clarifying everything, because it was confusing. I mean, I had trouble finding things. He also talked about the new coffee shop. I don't know if you guys saw that on Cherry and Tyndall Parkway, where the old churches used to be. They actually brought a building in and set it on the foundation out there, so it's pretty impressive. That's all I had now.
Okay. City Clerk, did you have anything for us tonight? City Attorney?
No, so we just sending an illustration
Yeah.
or where it came from, South Alameda, like an email or something.
Well, can you email it to them?
Got it?
Since you had it, can you email it to the attorney?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you'll send it to him and where you got it? I'll let you back to me in the meantime.
I got that from two different sources and put them together on one page.
Just send it to him, he will get that ready for us for next time. Well, City Manager, you're up.
All right, lots of projects, These are in no particular order, but if y'all been out by the Gore Park Community Center, that thing is coming along real well. They've got the hardy board on the outside, they're starting to work on the inside. And, it's gonna be something very proud for the city. On Cherry Street, we do have a utility coordinator who is in process. He has been meeting with all of the individual, he's meeting with each one of the individuals. We are calling a meeting that is gonna be an in-person meeting next week. All people are gonna be at the table, all questions should be answered, and he's gonna be pushing forward to get the plans set on who's gonna go first and when they're gonna start. That's really where we're at, when are they gonna start?
I have a question on that.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I've got two of them, I think. Who came up with the idea of this utility coordinator?
State of Florida.
The state is directing us to do it? Why didn't they direct us to do it 3 years ago?
Right.
I don't know. Well, we didn't have all these issues, and so they were the ones.
Well, we had issues, when, city attorney sent a letter on the 18th of September, and we were told that 18 weeks they'd be starting, so here we are again. You know, we keep on meeting after month, after month, after month, after month, after month. Now we're adding more expense that's gonna come out of our tax dollars. You know, we don't even know, we know what the cost is gonna be on that? We have a clue?
On the utility coordinator, he's working off of time and materials from the CEI contract.
Yeah, but that's what he wants to do. We don't have any control over that. That could be, thousands of dollars.
I can get you a potential estimate.
I'm just thinking that, you know,
Our goal was
all we do
to-
is meet and we talk and nothing happens on Cherry Street. You told us twice now that we were gonna start over the last 2-3 years, and I can go back to dates and specifics if you'd like me to, but, you know, I'm just thinking that, you know, when are we gonna quit talking and we're gonna do?
So if they're meeting, is
They
it
keep
this
on
week?
meeting, yeah.
Then,
The in-person, we're supposed to have an in-person next week.
okay. After that, there should be a timeline on who's doing what from AT&T, Tico, and
Listen,
Gold
I
Power.
can't tell you that that's what they're gonna do.
I know, but you
I
need
mean, I
to
can,
push
I
them
can,
for that.
I am pushing them for it. That's my biggest goal. I talk to this guy every day, and he's, you know, he's with the RMP.
Well, then find out what he, you know, if you're talking
Well,
about
that-
every day, find out what he's proposing, the start dates for these different utilities. Cause they can do it at the same time.
AT&T is not the problem. The problem right now is Tico.
No, AT&T, Tico, and Gold Power.
AT&T will be the problem in
Or
the near
Florida
future.
Power and Electric.
The start date.
Well, Gulf Power's not gonna, they don't have a dog in the hunt.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good. They went in, remember that was part of the issue, they went in and put on new
And
poles and new
AT&T is
colors.
gonna put it up on the poles, so I think they're good too, it's just.
I think they are good
So
too.
what are we coordinating?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what we're talking about. We've been
That's
talking about
exactly,
months after
that's
months after
exactly what,
months.
and you're exactly right, and that's what we're coming up with,
Where you need to set your foot down and say, look, enough is enough, you know, I mean, this just keeps on going, which is gonna increase our costs in the long run. You've already added now, a coordinator that the state is mandating. If it was required, why didn't they require it to start off?
It wasn't required in the
So then
beginning.
why are we doing it?
It wasn't required in the beginning.
Because
The
we're
issue
having all
was-
these problems.
All of the issues were coming around, and so I'm not capable of coordinating utilities. I mean, I've got enough going. I don't have it. I don't have it in me to deal with it. And the state said, look, you need to bring in, we need a utility coordinator to come in and handle this. Because at this point, I will tell you, everybody started beating heads together. I mean, it was a pointing game. And the state, who is a part of, they were part of the last meeting, well, they've been a part of the meetings. And they said, look, we need to bring in a utility coordinator, somebody that can remain impartial and can get this done, because the state's ready for us to move on this project also.
Is he gonna mandate these vendors as to when things are gonna start?
That's what that's what I've instructed to him, that I want him to put his foot down and
Enough is enough.
push him to the end.
It's ridiculous. You know, we're the laughing stock of Bay County. Everything we do, including Beacon Point, you know, and Cherry Street, and all these other projects that we've had, we keep on having delay after delay, and us as a commission sit up here and we just, okay, well, we need a utility coordinator. Well, the people out there are paying for that along with us that live here in Callaway. You know, they don't realize that money is gonna come from somewhere. It just doesn't fall out of the sky. And then obviously it's gonna come out of the infrastructure, you know, which could be used somewhere else. And we haven't even talked about the increase of Cherry Street yet, which I guess at some point you're gonna have to bring that forward to us. So I'm just thinking that, you know, talk is cheap. You know, we need to quit talking and take action. That's all I gotta say.
So by next meeting, hopefully we'll have a timeline set up for when Tico and AT&T want to start moving their utilities.
Hopefully.
I don't put a grain of salt on that. I really don't.
At least we'll know what you did.
Beacon Point bid opens on the 28th. Lots and lots of questions concerning that, so I'm sure we're gonna get even some new vendors have stepped up forward to look at that one. Boat Race Road is being paved right now. That one's gonna be under budget and under time. The roundabout, that got tossed around because of the utility issue with FPL. It is down back to the local level, and Jeremy Kuhn, who is phenomenal, he does great work for the city. He's working to get that thing moved, and he's supposed to let us know a timeline on some point, yes.
So do we need a utility coordinator for that job?
Yeah, you can do it.
I can do it.
City Manager, I'd like to ask you a question. You and Commissioner here ride the city every week.
Yes, sir.
You put that project in a long time ago. Don't you notice when you put a project in, that, oh man, we're bidding on this, we're gonna award the contract, and the pole hasn't been nailed yet?
We did.
You did?
Well, Shane was with us, FPL, and.
Yeah, but that's after the
his
fact,
attention.
after we awarded the contract.
Yes, but
To me, that should have been looked at, once we submit the request to FPL, on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, say, okay, what's going on here, you haven't moved it, we're getting ready to award contract. Since you guys are riding the city, we didn't notice it. In my mind, that's what I would do, when I managed my condominium, and I had a project going, I checked with my contractor, this is gonna be done, because if it's not done, this is gonna delay this. So, looks like to me, I'd like to, for you and, the finance director, to give me a total of everything we spent on any, engineer firm. And I think it's time for us as a commission to look at hiring our own engineer. The money that we're spending and paying Panhandle Engineering, so on and so forth. And we can call it project manager. It looks like to me that we don't have a person that's managing our projects. And
I'm good for that.
well, I'm not saying that, to fund that, I think that we need to, I'd like to have a total of what we spent last year, not this year, last year, with Panhandle Engineering, and anybody else that we contracted out with. And then take a look at those funds, and then take a look at what the cost would be to hire a project coordinator that can do all those things that we're paying engineers for. I think it would be cheaper. And then we can call that person a project.
I gotta clarify something. So you wanna hire an engineer to design all this stuff and manage it?
True. Project manager. Yeah.
So we're gonna get rid of the 5 continuing contracts and just hire one engineer?
Well, I'm just saying as a discussion for this commission, is this, that it seems to me that we need somebody that when we decide to do something, to monitor these projects. And I don't think we have anybody in the city that's doing it. In my mind.
Okay, so you basically just wanna hire a project manager. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm not saying that we.
I don't know
wanna hire a
that,
project manager. I'd like to open a discussion of what we spent on engineering, and I think we'll be surprised that it's in the millions, okay? And surely it wouldn't cost us $1 million a year to hire an engineer / project manager to keep track of all these projects and design them.
It would be, it's gonna be an additional cost because we don't pay anybody. I mean, we pay engineers, they design the project. You take this particular one.
You could eliminate all that to have it in-house.
Wouldn't it be hard though, because we've got different firms that specialize in different things? It's gonna be hard to find one individual that's gonna know everything.
I don't think that's possible. We'd have to hire a firm.
We don't know if it's impossible or not if we don't discuss it, What's Panama City doing, They have their own engineer.
Yeah, they have a city engineer who's not a PE, and so, and they've got continuing contracts with 5 or 6 different, so they do what we do, and they have an engineering staff that oversees them, and they.
Well, I don't know, the 8 years, it may be a waste, but 8 years I've been on this commission, it seems that we need somebody that's gonna monitor our projects. Now, to me, that should be you, city manager. Obviously, you get tied up in a whole bunch of other issues, but in my mind, that power pole, that should have been moved way before we put that bids out. And we keep on blaming FPL, well, we're to blame too, because we didn't follow up.
Yep.
We should have followed up on it.
Well, they were supposed to have moved it.
Supposed to, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And here we are, we got a contract, we signed a contract, and we're
He
sitting.
did bring it to his attention, and immediately he got.
Yeah, well, that's after the fact.
Working on it.
That's after the fact.
Well, it is, and sometimes that just happens.
Maybe happen in your world. But what I'm saying is that, if you
Well,
said,
the contract on that
And by the
roundabout
way, this
with
is
Robert's
in here, and
Road.
you drive past all the time. You didn't
I don't
notice
go down there
it.
on traffic. I haven't been down there in years.
That's part of your area.
Yeah, I don't go down there. I I didn't even know he sent the request.
You're not the only one that,
I mean, I'm sitting there thinking about the delays, okay, we got Cherry Street, that's an automatic utility.
Delay has been delayed. Anybody with any kind of sense would have saw those gas, the poles out there that we had gas line. You know, when you told us, oh wow, we can't start because we just found out we got gas lines. You had to be blind to know that we didn't have gas lines on Cherry Street.
I also don't sit around and read the plans.
You know, I'm just saying is that.
I can,
we're kind of making it that.
Well, if you would
We know
understand
we made a
me.
mistake.
so we've had that one, and then we've got the roundabouts. But other than that, I'm trying to think of what utility delays we've had. Beacon Point, that was a demo issue. There wasn't anything the project manager would have caught.
Well, big projects, we were waiting for funds too.
Yeah, we were waiting on state on that one. And then we had the demo issue, and we took care of that. So that's gonna come in.
And
But,
then we had the person that came and complained and threw out the bids and
right, we took care of that.
started over that.
We started, we threw that one out, that was a delay. But I'm trying to think of what other projects have been delayed, everything else has been.
Beacon Point we'll be talking about for years, because all that's gonna happen with Beacon Point is that front parcel. Because as you well know already, we haven't told our citizens, but there's no money to finish all of Beacon Point.
And then, is that our job to
It's
finish
gonna be-
Beacon Point? Isn't that a
No.
private concern?
No, it's just that we led everybody to believe
Yes.
that we were gonna do Beacon Point.
It's not
We do have money left over to do the other side, it's just gonna be more of a partnership, where they're gonna pay for their part.
Then here's
we're
a
gonna pay for
partnership.
our part.
Right.
Costing us money, so.
Yeah, they're gonna finish the building, they can't stop. If they do, then then of course they're gonna lose the funding, and they don't wanna lose the funding, so it'll be, are they gonna have enough to do all of it? No.
No, we already know, he's already told us that.
Yeah, but you can't let the money sit there. It's gonna have to be a finished project, and he knows that, and they're prepared to move forward with it.
Have we done anything on the backside yet?
It's in engineering. I can only think of 2 issues with utilities that we've had so far. Spillway is at 60%. Geotech and everything just got all their stuff turned in. We're checking every week on the status of that grant. Of course, with everything that's been going on, the state just has, I think they'll make the announcements in June, but they said they would give us a little bit better of a grip on what was gonna be done. Either that, the plans are at 60%. Hugh Thomas Drive North, that's the part, that's the Spine Road over here. That bid is out, it'll close on the 28th. Sandy Creek Sewer, as I said last time, it's an environmental, expected to be there several months. Once it clears environmental, those are gonna be ready to go out for bid. The water and sewer capacity study that we're in the middle of right now, that is at 90%. They're just finishing up some last little bit of the details. Part of that too has to do with the growth that we're having, and so we keep updating a little bit here and go, as we hear about new developments that are coming in. There is a stormwater master study. We did about a third of the city several years ago. We did put in for a grant to get the whole entire done. We're waiting to hear back on that. I did receive an email today that said we had answered all the RFIs for that, so we're just waiting now to see how it pans out, if they're gonna give us the grant to do the rest of the city, combine it into one plan, which will, once again, open us up for more funding possibilities. The fire station rehabilitation project, that is out for bid. We've extended that bid out to the 21st due to lots and lots and lots of questions from vendors. The FlexNet meter reading system, I know the parts and everything have been on order, and Kevin and I sent you that stuff from their attorney to reach out to them to clarify that contract. Parker medians, those are in process. If y'all seen it out there, they've been boring this week. We managed to get all the boring permits done in about 3 days, which is very surprising.
I have a question.
Yep.
You said the trees are blocking the view out there and they have to be cut down. Can we?
We can't salvage the trees. We'll take the crates, we can't take the trees.
Well, crepe myrtles are pretty
We're taking the crepes.
Oh, you're taking the
We're
grapes.
taking the crepe.
Three oak trees, we're gonna start taking them.
Yeah, the
Three
oak
oaks,
trees
we can't do anything with those, can we, Tim?
No,
They're too big.
okay, but the crepes are definitely, you can move those.
All the small plants and all that, Tim's crew's gonna be removing those, and the street department's gonna go out and help Tim, and we're gonna extract the crepe myrtles and relocate those.
Okay, great.
Thanks. Cemetery drainage, as far as the drainage goes, that's pretty much in place. We're doing some tweaks on it. It's looking good. I'm trying to finish up the fencing portion of it, so we can get that out for bid. We pretty much have everything laid out now, and we have the, where we want everything to go. I just gotta put it into a bid doc so we can get it out. The chlorination station, that one is in development right now still, due to some things that are going on out in Sandy Creek and some potential building that's gonna go on. They're just making sure that we're gonna have placement on that in the right spot. The Gore Park out on Viola, if y'all seen that, street department piped in that ditch, did a little bit of work over there for Tim's crew, and that project is technically done. We're still gonna put some fencing and stuff back up over there to keep people from driving up on. We still gotta put the safety grate over and some other rails, but it's basically substantially complete as far as the pipes being in the ground. On the bridge, we're still in closeout mode. They still haven't finished up all the punch list items, and as long as they keep on pushing it out, we're gonna keep charging them. Veterans Park, the fencing project, they're scheduled to be on site this week and start that. Tim's crew will be there with them the whole entire way to make sure that the fence is the way Tim wants it. Location, level, everything.
And the surveyor's done.
Yeah, survey is done on that. We got 2 lap things that are getting ready to go out. We've got the sidewalk that's gonna be down on South Bertha, that's all the way down near Wallace. We're gonna complete that over there at Bridge Harbor. That's probably gonna go out for the design. This will be design only for that. This is state funded at 100%. That'll go out next week. And then we've already done the design work on what we call the West Cherry Street sidewalk. That's over between Kendall Parkway and Bob Little. That design is done. Most likely, we feel like next week we'll be putting that out for bid for construction. And once again, this is LAP funding, it's 100% paid for. But all of those things that have to do with LAP, they will be pending state approval as always, which means it could be next week, but we'll just keep talking about it until they say, yes, it's good to go. And then finally, Commissioner Pelletier, I have not finished the solid waste bid, but I have about 400 pages on my desk, and hopefully I'll have it done this week.
I do have a question though, still.
Yes.
Are we looking at, and I'm looking at, again, the water utility building. Are you looking at, once we get, you started the plan, once we get our new meters and our power system in place, to reduce the amount of days that we're out in the building? Have you discussed that yet, or is it too early?
Well, we feel like we can definitely shorten the time. I mean, we'll be able to take a read. That's not gonna cut down on how many misreads or whatever, because we're constantly chasing misreads. Somebody had a car parked over and couldn't get a good read or something, you know. You never know what you're gonna get, so we do send our technicians out after they get it. But we're gonna be looking at seeing what we can do. We know the ultimate goal is to reduce the days in building and try to get that down.
You got one here for 1,700 and the other one for 700, and I don't understand the comments. No payment since 10/20/24, October 24.
Which one is that? What are you looking at, the collections
Yeah,
report?
right. Says no payment since, so that means they had water, didn't pay for since October? $1,700.
So I would assume the water was cut off.
I'm assuming.
Okay, obviously that got by, listen, every time I check this for high usage and I make sure I have good details, I missed it. Let me get that for you tomorrow.
It's not that, it's just that I wanna make sure that we start looking at, I think a lot of our problems with these high water bills is that we're 2 months behind. You know, in reality, we're,
2 months behind on billing, but not
On
2 months
billing,
behind, but not 2 months behind on reading.
yeah,
So we read
If we
and we go from
reduce the
there.
billing period, then that would eliminate some of this stuff. Not all of it, but some of it.
Reads or reads. Let me look into that and give you a
In my mind,
I don't
since-
wanna make a hasteful answer on that.
You know, I know over the.
And I need to check on that subject, cause I didn't see that one, so it slipped right by me.
But over the years, I at least have talked about, you know, my passion with meters and water is that my thoughts were, once we upgrade, we can go to current month. And of course, you know, that's probably easier said than done, you know, because you could probably read the meter, most, all of them make, let's say 95% of them in a matter of minutes. The rest of them, of course, will have to go out. So, but, I don't-
So when we do a read on the city, just so that, it takes us a day and a half to read the city currently with our drive-by system. So we're hoping, you know, that not only will we be able to speed up, but we'll get, you know, be able to get a more accurate read. And we won't have as many missed reads by going to that. Nothing else really changes in our processes. We still have to, you know, everything else still remains the same. We still have to go through and proof them to see if we have one that has, the system will kick out what we call high consumption. And then we send the guys back out and do physical reads just to make sure.
Shouldn't that be automatic with our new software?
We would still probably go back out and reproof, just because if it comes up and it says that something's really super high, most of the times we send them out to take a check, just to make sure that we didn't get a false read, because we did get false reads. I mean, that's inevitable that sometimes that happens, but could be.
Well, what is the time, you say, once the read is complete, what's the time from when the read is complete?
We read
till
on the
we are
first.
able to send out bills?
So the way it works, David, you might have to help me with this, if you know the answer.
Well, I mean, you read on the first,
We read on the, we try to read between the first and the fifth, depending on where weekends and stuff are.
and the bills don't go out till the end of the month.
Right.
So there's no way we can shorten that
Well,
time?
But the bills have to be sent to be produced to go out by the end of the month, and they have to be sent out by like the 15th. So that's what we're talking about. Maybe we could possibly run reads earlier, rather than read it at the first of the month. Maybe we could read it earlier in the month, so that we have time to get it out by the following next month.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding, you already have the capability of putting bills in-house. I looked at that 4 or 5 years ago, that the software gives you that capability of doing it in-house.
We can print these statements in-house, bills in-house.
Right.
The problem's gonna be, it's the manpower to get those all out and mailed and stuffed. That's
I
where we send
understand
that out.
I've been
And
there.
then they have the email capability that we don't have.
They have folding machines now, they have equipment now to handle mass mailing. You know, that's something new, I've used them for years. I'm just saying is that we talk about sending it out when we have the capability in-house and we need more extra people to do that. Well, you know, I understand that how much are we paying the vendor and is that gonna save us money if we do it in-house and be quicker? I'm just throwing that out because we've been on this cycle for years and we've talked about once we come with a new system, we're gonna reduce, but we're still not talking about reducing, we're still talking about, you know, I'm not getting from your side, that we're gonna reduce the billing period. But every month, we still get all these reports with, at the end of the year, we probably end up with, what, 50, 60 grand of water that the rest of us pay for. So that's what my thoughts were, is that we reduce the billing period at some point.
And
It's not gonna happen overnight.
Right, well, no, and that's always been our goal. But the FlexNet system is also going to
Always
give us
speed
a
up, you have
larger
to have everybody
capability.
pay 2 months.
Pardon?
You don't have to have everybody pay 2 months at one time to change the cycle, or.
Well, there would be obviously growing pains, but, you know, everybody would understand that.
Shorten the time frame.
You just shorten the time frame. So that one time they go out, they're gonna end up paying a month plus, let's say 15 days. Or 10 days.
Or you shorten it and they don't get billed for a whole month. They get billed for a half a month. If we can shorten what day we take the reads.
Well, we just keep on.
But the FlexNet system has so many other capabilities that we're more interested in too. Yes, we do wanna try to reduce the time, but we also wanna be able to give, the citizen will have a better customer experience where they can come in and go, if something does look like there's an issue with the meter, rather than us take a technician that has to go out and plug in and try to pull history, we'll be able to pull it right there on the spot. And we can look and see, and that's another thing too, whenever we have somebody that has a high consumption, we can take another read automatically, just a click of a button, and also at the same time, we can check this, we can pull their meter history and we see, do you have a leak? Or, and the reports that we get off meter histories are actually, they're very interesting. Because we can tell when you go to the bathroom, we know how much gallons it's gonna go through, we know what time you get up, we know when you take a shower, just off of how much water you use, it's ridiculous, because, you know, after you look at them so many times, you can say, oh, okay, well, this is what's going on, and then you can tell, oh, well, here we have, this looks like we have a toilet that's leaking internally, and you need to go check that. Versus, oh, you've got a water break, and you're gushing somewhere. We had a situation just last week where the gentleman came up and he was very upset over the fact that he said, my irrigation system is turned off. And he said, but I'm getting charged an irrigation bill. And so I actually went with the technician out there, we pulled his history right there on the spot. His irrigation wasn't turned off, his AM and PM was messed up, and it was running at 2 AM and he didn't know it. That's the beautiful thing. But the man hours that it took for us to get to that point is what the issue was. Between me having to deal with the customer and then having to call a tech, have a tech stop what he's doing, come all the way out, pull the history, go back up, print the history, then we review it, and we go take it back to the customer. All of this could be done right on the spot, just at the flip of the switch. You can just check it and pull it. So we're looking at enhancing the customer experience. Also, that will cut down on our man hours. And hopefully that alone will be able to cut the time, hopefully we can cut the time periods down.
And the software is still there to be able to cut water off, correct?
Do it now.
To turn off, to cut water off from the office, not having to send a tech out?
No.
Why would you come?
That
We talked about that.
We did talk about that. There is another meter. It's about twice the cost of the current meters that we have. I don't think it would really be worth it to do a change out. But what we can do is we do understand repeat offenders. Repeat offenders always happen. So our goal in the long run would be to start adding some of these meters into our arsenal. And then as somebody, if they're just a constant repeat offender, we can go out and switch their meter out, then we would be able to shut it off from the computer as opposed to sending it back out all the time.
What is the difference between the two price-wise?
David, how much is a meter?
Right now, they're about 300, but I think it's double.
It's double, yeah, it's.
Can you give me a price just for the fun of it? When we
Last
really
time-
want to do that?
The
as we
last
go
time I talked, it was over $500 for one of those,
Right,
for one of those meters.
so that's not double. You know, I'd like to have an idea so we can have a discussion as to,
If I remember right, I think he's at about
you know,
65.
in the future, that you wanna buy those instead,
It's almost double.
eliminate having to go out and turn the water off, because somebody comes in and pays at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they can get their water turned on right immediately without having to send anybody out there.
Yeah. Our cutoff is 3 o'clock.
I'm just thinking the technology is there, and we're only using half of it. It's like Springbrook, you know, we've had the capability of billing out utility for years, but we don't use that utility, we pay for it, but we don't use it.
It's a feature that can be used, but
Right.
even though that technology is there, we don't have the technology now. I mean, we don't have, that's what we're getting, so, you know, if this commission wants to invest in changing out all these meters, we can always go through and, you know,
I'm just saying this, as you go forward, you know, why not invest in a little bit more technology? I'm not saying we need to replace every one of them, but as you go forward, would that be that much of a difference? That's why I'd like to know what the difference are in the cost of meters.
I'll get you a price.
I'm just thinking that as you go forward, you're having to buy meters every year. Why wouldn't you want to buy a meter that will eliminate a lot of work on your part? And I agree with.
Well, I think you're talking about versus the 99% that we wouldn't have to use it. Other than if they called and said, hey, cut my water off on the 28th. You know, most people just run their water every month and we never mess with their meters at all. They're just happy customers. And we don't know who those people are until they have history with us. And that's why we, you know, just our internal thoughts were, we can start adding these to our arsenal, just a small quantity
Right,
at a
that's what I'm
time.
saying.
And that way we can, you know, we can counteract that. But we didn't want to invest into the meter until we got the system up and running.
I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying long-range plans.
Mm-hmm.
We have capabilities that we don't use.
That everything, city
That's
manager?
all I got.
Anybody have any other questions for city manager, or we good? Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. First, we have the announcements. The Historical Society meeting is March 16th, and remember, if you want to come, we're meeting at the First Baptist Church on Highway 22, you go around the back. Come in the back door, and there'll be a sign that says the meeting is here. Okay, March 18th, does it look like we will have a planning board meeting?
Yes.
Okay, March 18th, there will be a planning board meeting. And then our next meeting will be March 25th. And I don't know, oh, and I do know, I imagine all of you know, opening day was postponed because of the bad weather, so it has been moved to March 22nd, correct, Tim?
Yes.
March 22nd at 9 a.m. will be opening day for Little League. That's everything I'm aware of. Does anybody, yes, ma'am? I mean, were you for public comment, or did you have?
No, it's public comment.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure nobody had anything else. No, it's okay, hang on just a second. Anybody else know of any announcements? Hey, we're good then, go ahead.
Anna Pelletier, 7724 Shadow Bay Drive. I think this is gonna be for our city manager. Is there any public record documentation on how many hours he's taken away from his daily managing of the city, due to riding the city with a certain commissioner? And is there any public record documentation on what's discussed or, anything that the citizens would have access to?
I meet with any commissioner that wants to meet with me. I do have a standing meeting with Commissioner Ayers. I talk to almost every commissioner multiple times a week. I talk to the mayor probably 2 or 3 times a day.
Sometimes.
We don't keep records of what's discussed. It's all city business. Not really required to, since it's just, you know, since there's not two of them together.
Yeah, a lot of times when we meet, Commissioner Pelletier calls, and you talk to him for quite a while.
I'll walk away from him.
Yeah. So,
I'll walk away from him, but I'm gonna take this call real quick.
yeah.
Because I know I can come back to him. I'm not gonna try to call him back. Couldn't tell you how many hours.
Well, about an hour.
It's, oh,
Week.
you talk about, oh,
Between
with
you
him?
and I,
Yeah,
about an
it's
hour.
about, it generally spend about an hour. That's about it with him. But as far as
And we usually
where
cover.
I'm at, it's very difficult.
I was just wondering if there was any public documentation, but I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we usually have a working lunch, so we're not taking away from his regular time.
You paid for his lunch?
No.
No. There's nobody paying somebody's lunch. This is Dutch.
It's always Dutch.
At the same time.
But just for the record, even if it was less than $45, it's not recordable.
This came up years ago from a citizen, actually John. Years ago, that, what that citizen wanted was that any communication that we had as an individual, commissioner, the individual commissioners talking with the city manager, that that, citizen viewed that as being, public. And therefore, anything that, those commissioners at that time talked to the city manager about, this particular citizen felt like he should know that. And, that has been deemed that it's not, we can't talk to each other, commissioners can't talk to each other, but, we're allowed to talk to the people that, we have actually hired, and we've hired this gentleman and this lady and the city attorney, and we're allowed to talk to them. So that was covered back, years ago. That was pre-youth. That was.
Unless you create a record.
Right.
Or emails would come.
And I don't have a problem saying this, I do my best to keep these guys informed of everything that's going on. They don't need anything to slip up on me, because it's just gonna come back and bite me later, so I try to keep them informed of what's going on. It's just, that's good business.
And it helps both of us stay educated on all the problems, and I think that's just smart. So, I'm not directing him to do anything that would be something necessary for public record, but if it is, I'll be glad to state it.
Okay, we good? Somebody else like to speak? Yes, sir?
My name is Fred Dalco. I live at 5712 Kevin Circle. I was here last meeting, and the question at that time was, when will the city transition back to normal city services as far as trash and solid waste removal? The day after, I received these papers hung in my door. And when I called the city that afternoon, I was told that the city manager would give me a call back. Hasn't called me back. Trash debris, this trash debris letter that was sent here, well highlighted, doesn't give any descriptions, definitions, or quantities. It also appears that it's a post-Hurricane Michael letter. So, as such, it just makes general comment. When I've had renovations done to my house, all my contracts included cleanup and disposal of all my materials. If you live in Callaway, by these definitions, you've seen every piece of this stuff picked up, okay? Recently, I called to notify the city that the trash pickup truck busted glass all across my roadway. Nothing was done. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter. She's running down the road, she falls down, she gets glass cut in both hands. Minor, I cleaned them up, no problem. A few weeks later, same problem. He goes, picks up glass doors, busts them all over the roadway, okay? After 2 weeks, because I've been, you all supposed to live in Callaway, you see all these trucks. I saw a truck sweeping the Big Lots parking lot. Says, oh, maybe the city's got a sweeper truck. Finally, the truck showed up and did pick up the glass in the street. There's still glass strewn up and down on both sides. But just like this, the original letter that I requested was the letter that started the trash and debris pickup, which has limits and quantities that the homeowner is allowed to put out for pickup. And I see it every day. They talk about yard debris. Oh, we only pick up 3.5 cubic yards. I've seen 10 or 12 cubic yards picked up. When there's more than that at the site, he doesn't even stop and pick up 2 buckets. He just keeps on going. He doesn't do anything. Okay? My time's running out. I agree that no man's land, you have to pick up no man's land because there's nobody to charge for it. But that doesn't mean that you should penalize the city residents from not being able to put out regular homeowner debris.
Can you give me your address, sir?
5712 Kevin Circle.
Kevin Circle.
Yes,
And your first name?
Fred Melko, M-E-L-K, Fred. M-E-L-K-O. I talked to,
I'm sorry, sir, your time is up. Thank you.
I'll be back next week. Soccer Tuesday is over now.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Ron Schinger, 5711 Kevin Circle. I can verify what Mr. Melko said about the glass. I walk down there every day, it's a bit to walk, and it laid there for several days. And you know, if you're walking through this little charged glass, why you get it in your shoes and you track it back to your house, and next thing you know, you step on a piece of it in your carpet. I try to clean my shoes real good every time I walk down that way. But anyway, well, I check them real good and try to, you know, make sure everything's good before walking the house, but that went on. And I've also seen full-size palm trees picked up down there. A couple of them, not all that long ago, a little bit before the glass incident. But, anyway, that's it for that subject. And anyway, my other subject is this Panama City tax that gripes me so much. It gripes me because Panama City and Panama City Beach is the only Golden Children is allowed to collect that. No other city in the state of Florida is allowed to collect it. And I'm sure these other cities have just as big of problems as Panama City and Panama City Beach. I think Callaway would be happy to collect that 1% tax if they could. It's on nearly everything. I go down to Sam's parking lot there and I count the look at the cars, and I'm sure they got at least 1,000 car parking lot, and it's full. And when I do the numbers in my head, they're paying thousands of dollars a day in that lousy 1% tax. People go in there, you know, if you got 2,000 people go in and they spend $100 a piece and $1, well, you know, I mean, it adds up. And that parking lot's always full, it ain't the same, you know. And it just gripes me. I believe in everybody or nobody collecting that. That's my gripe. If they wanna make it for everybody, I'm fine with it. But I don't see, you know, these couple little Golden Children getting them to do it. And I heard last year where they passed 180 some bills, you know, in the legislature. I wonder if they're gonna do that many more that we can't do without. What did we do before that? How did we get by? I mean, it's something to think about. But anyway, well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. I agree with you about the 1 cent. I know back when Callaway was ready to institute an ad valorem for the first time, that's one of the things the commission at that time looked into. Could we do that? The legislature will not allow anybody. Those are the only 2 cities in the state that are allowed to collect that 1% franchise fee or whatever they call it. And they were grandfathered in. Nobody else is allowed to do it. Nobody else will ever be allowed to do it.
They sure had some golden good old boys back then.
Something, I don't know, but Panama City and Panama City Beach, they're the only 2 in the state. Gross receipts tax.
Ron, to turn your burner up a little bit more.
They don't have it.
That's not a tax. It's
No,
not a tax.
No,
It's
they don't.
a gross receipt fee.
They call it a,
It's a gross receipt fee.
well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They call it whatever they want, but it's a tax.
Now, to turn your
It's
burner
on the
up,
same bill.
to turn your burner up a little bit, since that's a fee, that fee is taxed at 6%.
That's right. They charge that 1% first, and then you pay your other sales tax, your 6.5 on that. You pay that on that 1 cent too.
You know, and that's where you get hit on your utility bills and all that. Those fees, can be taxed. Any tax that's on there cannot be retaxed.
Now, my burner needs turned up.
The best thing is try not to shop in Panama City or Panama City Beach, shop in Callaway, Lynn
I
Haven.
always put a culvert or something here, or, some compensation for Sam. Or the day of, I'll cancel.
Always buy from this Walmart, not the
That's right.
Panama City.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep. Would anybody else like to speak? Yes, ma'am?
Teresa Langston, 6031 Lane Street. I do have a couple questions after listening to the commissioner's comments and the city manager's comments. And I also have a question about how much time is actually spent on outside committees, meetings, and stuff that takes away from Callaway business too. I'm kind of curious about how much time is spent a week. Because, you know, like I said last time, I think we seem to be reactive and not proactive, like when we have like the telephone pole, for instance, and we're still kind of fumbling around with the telephone pole for the roundabout. And my question, another question is about Tico. Has Tico not moved their lines yet for Cherry Street?
No.
And nobody has said anything or paid attention to anything about why they haven't?
That's why we have a utilities coordinator now to try to
Right,
get that
and
moved
but the
along.
utility coordinator, okay, well, what kind of documentation do we have in the state that says we have to have a utility coordinator? And what exactly does the utility coordinator do if we're gonna pay them time and material?
Well, go ahead and ask your question,
All right.
so we don't, you should.
And then another thing is who picks the utility coordinator? Is it something that the city picks, the state picks? How do they pick it? Because if there, I would like documentation from the state that says, yes, the city of Callaway has to have a city, a utility coordinator for your, you know, Cherry Street project. I mean, and then I wanna know, is the bridge completed? Are we done with the bridge now on Bertha?
As I stated in my comments, the bridge is not complete, they're on a punch list items.
All right, so then we have to wait till they're done with the punch list before they reimburse us any monies
No, that's not it.
for after the fact.
No.
So,
The bridge, we get reimbursed as we pay.
okay, so you just take out what they owe their per day of being over project. All right, and then my next question is you said Beacon Point you said it's gonna be a partnership between, I guess, the city, which means the taxpayers, and, that they were the ones that wanted it. And then my last thing is you said that you have a working lunch with the, city manager. And I'm assuming that you say that you have lunch, is that what you're meaning, that you go eat lunch, or you just take his lunch and do your drive around? Is kind of what I'm working, because, you know, you can't eat lunch somewhere and drive around at the same time.
Thank you, Ms. Langston.
Yeah.
I'll pass out.
I don't know that there was, I had to look and see if there was an email, it was stated in a conference call that, it's Maria Showalter from the state said, hey, we've got to move on this project. And we feel like it's gonna be best served, because what was happening was, we had all the entities and they started basically, they're fighting each other. I mean, they're just all butting heads. And she said, we need to bring in a utility coordinator to come in and do this. Now, I could have went through and we could have looked at putting out formal RFQs and everything else, but the CEI for this project, who was very familiar with everything, they had an employee that has dealt with utility coordination. And they said, hey, okay, it makes sense, since they're the ones that's going to be making sure everything is done right. It was easier to move one of those in and let them come in and be the impartial, you could call it a mediator, if you wanted to. Somebody that's gonna come through and just basically push the project forward, impartial, doesn't have a dog in the hunt, other than they're gonna be the ones that's watching the project all the way through. So that's where that whole entire thing came from. And also, we already had the CEI contracts set up. So, it's already set up, the time and materials and everything is already there, the contract's already there, we're using this person on the front end to go ahead and push so that we can get the project moving, so that's where that came from. Let's see, with that one.
I can tell you the Beacon Point Public, the partnership, that's the grant, it's not the city putting in any money, it's the grant. But the grant is a pass-through, the state gives the money to the city and then the city, but it's no citizen money.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just the grant.
I just wanted to make sure.
Now, I will say this thing. Me and Ashley have got time in it. We've got our time in it. Because, you know, Ashley's gotta put the bids and stuff together and then, and I'm, you know, and I'm on the backside trying to push and get everything done. So, but that is, it's a private-public partnership grant. State offered it. We knew they didn't have the money. We went in, we talked to them, we come to the commission, we put in for the grant, came back through, we accepted it. But whatever money that the state puts in, that's it. There's no taxpayer money going towards it.
Okay.
Other than the fact that we pay and we get reimbursed. It's a pass-through. That's the way it works.
Okay.
But, let's make sure everybody understands. We pay first, because we have to have a canceled check sitting in our hand, handed to the state, and then they transfer the money back to
Right,
us.
and that's understandable.
And in the beginning, the first money that's used is their match money. So they put forth, and I'm not gonna quote numbers, they put in X amount of dollars, their money gets spent first. The private developer, or basically the property owner, their money is sitting over there, we spend it first. Then after that, then as it keeps spending, that's whenever they start reimbursing on the back end. They're not gonna have enough to finish the whole entire strip mall. They're already aware of that. But they've allotted what they want to use the remaining money for, and then they're gonna have to do the rest. But it's not like they can use a little bit of the money and it's just left. It's gonna have to be a functioning building by the time it's over with. So that's how that works. So that's Beacon Point. What was that?
I think outside meetings, and I know, I think most of the meetings you attend during work hours are project related.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of stuff during, I think the only one, TCC.
Yes.
I do the TCC meeting, which is the Technical Coordinating Committee of the TPO. That's what, once a quarter?
Yes, pretty much.
And then,
I mean, a lot of the things,
I do.
that's why I go to so many things, because I represent the city, because he's at the office working.
yeah. The other one I do is the transportation, CPSD, Community Transportation Safety Coordination Committee. And that's where send a representative to it. It's once a quarter. It lasts for about an hour, but that's where we get like striping and stuff done. And a lot of those things that be coming out of that.
We try to.
Yeah, we try to, yes.
Yeah.
Because that's basically all the entities that are sitting together. The county, there's a representative from the other cities that are there. I don't know that there's any more really
Bigger cities.
that,
Yeah, but that's in the evening.
That's after hours.
Yes, that's at DCC, all that stuff's after hours.
they want to
That's
have
not
after
good.
hour stuff, now I give you a whole list of those.
So I'm not really understanding what you're driving at with my time. The only time I'm required to be anywhere is here for these meetings. The rest of the time is my own time, it's all personal time. So when I do extra stuff,
Right.
you're not paying me to do that. I do it to serve the citizens of Callaway.
I
And
just was clarifying
Yes, ma'am.
the question, that's all.
Yes, ma'am, that's good, that's a good question. The only meetings we're required to be at is this meeting right here, twice a month. So, everything else that the mayor does and I do and the other commissioners, that's on our own time. So,
I don't really look at mine that way, I'm a 24/7 there, so, you know, it's all,
I'm gonna be calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'm not.
She's up.
you give me your number, I'll call you. I'll call you.
I'll talk about her in the middle of the night, cause I get emails and stuff,
Yeah, no.
That's right.
Sometimes I respond back, go to bed.
and I get back with citizens right away. If they call me and you're not in my phone book, on my phone, I tell you to go ahead and text me, and that way I know you're not an insurance company. I get about 10 of those a day. But you do that, I put you in my phone book, you call, I answer the phone if I'm not driving. But when I park, like Al Boucher called me while I was driving the other day. The minute I parked, just before our dinner, I called him back to find out what's going on. Mrs. Kirkpatrick, same thing. So if you call me, I will call you back, I promise. Or you email me, I'll email you back.
Was there anybody else?
Did we answer everything for this?
That was a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think,
It was a lot of questions, and we need to see about adjusting it at least another minute. Because
It
there
used
is a
to
lot
be
of
5
questions.
minutes, and about 6, 7, 8 years ago, they cut it down.
They wouldn't allow me to the meeting if they gave me 5 minutes.
was there anybody else that wanted to speak? I don't wanna miss anybody. I don't see anyone. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Oh, I have lots I'd like to say, but I don't have that time.
Okay. Well, if nobody else is gonna raise their hand to speak.
What? Don't stand up. Oh, don't be threatening me that way, because I will.
City manager, facilities coordinator is gonna be the entity of the project,
It's gonna what?
the entire project. So if the project's for a year, we're gonna have that guy on board.
Well, the CEI's on board.
No, the CEI is on board.
I know CEI's on board, but I'm talking about the utility coordinator.
Well, she be done.
Really be a shame.
Yeah, I mean, he's just gonna be, get these utilities coordinated and moved, and then after that, I'm sure he'll be off.
It's gonna go away.
Yeah, he'll go
I
west.
just wanna make sure
Okay.
we're gonna be one of them.
I just need
I don't, I
that.
don't.
It could just be like a last meeting, if
I will
something
say
comes
this,
up,
I will
then
say
they
this
can.
much. That company is our representative as CEI. They could choose to keep him on to continue doing the CEI work. But it's still under the same time and materials for the CEI.
Okay, you good?
Good.
Okay, well,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you. Everybody ready, okay? Thank y'all for coming, everybody have a good evening.